Hello and welcome back to another video. If you haven't already seen, I've uploaded a video and it was a speed build on how I made this glass house for my plant sim. If you haven't seen it already, please feel free to go and check it out. In today's video, I thought I would do a speed build on how I furnished and decorated the house and share my ideas making this greenhouse, and well, you'll see if I managed to use every plant in The Sims 4. So I started off by adding all of the lighting to the downstairs and choosing the wallpaper and flooring colours. I did originally want to keep everything light and neutral, but then I also decided I wanted to pull in some of the greens from the plant sim, and I thought this might have been her favourite colour. I used a number of different tones throughout the house and pulled in those greens, but I also changed up the style, so obviously some rooms are patterned, some are plain. I decided the easiest place to start was the kitchen, so I placed some worktops, and at first I wasn't sure about the black as I did want to keep this quite light, but they did really grow on me, a pun not intended. I thought the contrast of the light and dark looked really good, but also felt like it gave it a modern feel. I did try lots of different things in this kitchen as I didn't know if I liked it the way it was. I decided to get the essentials in quickly because ultimately I was really excited to start covering this place in plants. I normally place a couple of plants in my kitchens anyway in most of my builds because I feel like it gives it a bit of a homely feel, but I honestly don't think you're ready for the amount of plants I cram into every little inch of this house. I didn't have much inspiration for any of the rooms, to be honest, and I was winging most of this, hoping that it would turn out good. I tend to get a bit frustrated, so I move on and decided to work on the dining area next. Again, I wasn't sure what direction this was going in or what I wanted it to look like, and I tried a million different tables and I had to cut some of them out because it took me that long to choose this table. I then of course got to work with decorating the area with plants. As I said before, I had no idea what direction I wanted to take for this, so I tried a lot of different things and I just felt like they didn't work for this build. I then added multiple plants and accessories around, just hoping it would bring it together. I felt like there was this area in the kitchen which I didn't really know what to put there, so I decided I would clutter it up with some shelves. I really liked this minty green colour in the kitchen, so I decided to go for a bit of a brighter mint green shelf. I also added some plants and some planters so the sim could actually do something in the area rather than it just all be decor. I went ahead and added these flowery leafy plants above the cupboards. I went with the pink colour but later did change this back to the green because I felt like it didn't look right. I then went ahead and added all of the clutter and plants to the shelf, which was a nightmare because I had to have it diagonal, so all of the wall plants would stick to the wall the wrong way round. I managed to pick out a good selection of plants and I think this area actually ended up turning out really, really cute. I went back to work on the dining area and I added some more plants and added a table centerpiece, which is something I really like adding to the dining areas. Lights or flowers look really nice on the table, and I was then looking for the tall lily, but then even after doing this I still felt like something was missing in the area, and I'm not really used to doing small dining areas, so I went back to the kitchen and added some kitchen decor and clutter, and I really love doing this as it makes me feel like the area is more lived in, and I really wish the Sims team would bring out a clutter pack. I moved into the guest / downstairs bathroom area, and at first I did think that I would just keep this a toilet sink situation, but I sometimes find it easier to have showers upstairs and downstairs, especially when you've got a full household. I think it's just a bit easier. So I decided to move everything around again, and just so I could fit in the shower. I also switched out the green tiles and decided to add more green accessories and bring in the green with accessories and pictures and plants. I thought the cabinets were also a bit too dark, so I switched them out for more of a wooden effect one and fitted the shower along with all of the plants and accessories, and I had fun experimenting with all the different plants, and I thought this room had more of a tropical feel to it. I was really eager and excited to start working on the inside greenhouse, so that was on my list of things to do next. I came up with this idea to make the dining area a bit more secluded and private. I added these bushes to achieve this, and I think this area ended up looking really nice. I added vines everywhere because I wanted this area to look out of control and wild. I added a few random things around the house, otherwise I tend to forget the items or I end up not being able to find them later on. I know in my head I wanted there to be a wisteria plant going up the side of the house, and then decided it should go across the balcony to give it a busy, flowery look, which is something that I really liked. Back on the inside garden area, I decided to add these hanging plants everywhere to make it look full of life and give it a look that says this house grows plants everywhere. I didn't want the plants in here to just be decor, so I added some planters too, so the Sims can add harvestables or flowers and it gives them something more to interact with rather than it all be decor. I then added some dirt detail as I thought this room would be very grassy and muddy and I wanted to add that extra realism, but then I decided that I wanted areas where you could actually grow some seeds in the ground. I wanted this area to feel not so formal and pretty, and that this sim actually adores plants and adores all plants, weeds, vines, everything planty. I feel like I probably could have added more to give it a bigger plant feel, but I'm really happy with what we've come up with so far, and I know that later on we can always add when we are in gameplay. I decided, because you could see the inside garden area from the upstairs, that I should raise some of the wall plants up so the upstairs can look just as wild, and in reality plants don't stop growing, so by doing this I think it blends the room very well. I wanted this room to look like it was a very humid and hot and very tropical space, so I think by having plants growing everywhere I really achieved that look. But like I said before, I think there is definitely room for more wild plants. This is one of my favourite rooms in the whole house and I think it gives it a really unique twist. I'm happy this room also leads up to the garden where I'll also have a lot more plants. I then quickly moved on to the living room because I was getting carried away in the inside garden room and I didn't want to overcrowd it too much. I think the living room is actually my top favourite room in the whole house. It's quite a long room to decorate, which also made it quite hard, but I do love how open plan it looks, and I did keep the green theme running throughout. It also gave me a chance to use some of the planty furniture I've never really gotten to use before, like the grassy coffee table and this end table with all the greenery in the bottom, which I actually really love and I think it suits this build very well. Obviously I wanted to try and add more plants in this room too, but I wanted it to still look like a living room. I decided to go for more of a self-clutter look with a few plants scattered throughout the room. I think this was a good way to keep the plant aesthetic. I do come back to the living room in a bit and I worked on the back room where there wasn't much to do with this room, but I wanted it to be a cute little garden area at the back of the house where my sim could come and have some quiet time and relax. I wanted this room to be more of an area where you could just plant seeds and things, but I did add a few decorations and plants in there as well to make it feel a little bit more inviting and colourful. I decided to make a TV unit and it took me a couple of attempts to come up with something, and then decided to clutter it up with plants and other garden things and accessories, and in the end I think this made the room look really nice and made a massive difference to the room. It makes it feel more lived in and gives the room a more livable feel. This is something I was really struggling with as I didn't want it to feel like a blank room with a sofa and a plant, and by adding all of the furniture I think it gave it more of a cosy feel. I really like the colour wood that I chose, as again the dark really complements the light walls, and I was worried the light walls would make the room look quite cold. I also accidentally managed to put these flowers on top, which again really brought in the plant energy. I also added a few bits to the hallway, otherwise I feel like it looked a bit too blank, and I also got to use this side table with all of the plants going inside, which was also really cool and something that I haven't gotten to use before, and again feel like this is the perfect build to use it in. And that's when I decided that I wanted to try and place all of the decor Sims plants in this house, as this was the perfect time to challenge myself to actually do it. So I decided to place all of the ones that I haven't used so far, and we'll see if I manage to find a place for them all. I didn't actually realise how many we have, and it's really good to see them all because I now have a few new favourites and I don't have to use the same old few that I still do love and I do still use. I couldn't do much with this top room as it has a lot of room that was taken up by the tree, so I decided to have it more like a plant lookout hangout room. I decided to add some seats and I also added a paint easel in there as well, and later I do think that I added a flower arrangement table as well. I was trying so hard to find places for all of the plants. I wanted the balcony to be another cute place to hang out, but also wanted it to be infested with plants and for it to feel a bit wild. I did also add a seating area as well, so maybe they can sit and enjoy the sunset there. In the bedroom, I had this idea to make a half wall with these flowers, and I think once I add the top it really makes it look like an incorporated part of the house. I wanted to keep within the green airy theme, especially with this leafy wallpaper. I thought a plain bed would look best and not so busy. I did a bunch of small decor plants everywhere, and I wanted to keep the dark against light theme by adding this furniture with the idea of maybe it being left and the sim wanted to brighten it up with colour and plants. I started moving some of the remaining plants in the garden around any room to see if I could find them a place. I decided to move some of the plants left over that were a bit too big around the garden area. I really wanted a small patch for crops and seeds, and I started to make some of the other areas look a little bit nicer. There was a small area in the garden by the door that I wanted to look really overgrown and untidy. I think I achieved the look I was going for, and I was able to use some of the plant pots like the drawer and the tire. I then got to work on the bathroom, and I found this really hard because it was a really big room and had massive windows at the front, so there wasn't much privacy. I added a double sink, and I love adding soap and towels as I find it just makes it look a little bit more lived in and homely, and I really like this area in the bathroom and I think the colours all go so well with each other. I added these white curtains, which I actually really love, to make the area a little bit more private, and I thought this would be a really nice relaxing area for the bath as well. I did add a few plants around the bath to make it look a little bit more secluded. I think this room did come out a little bit more blue than green, but I do really like the final look even though it is a massive room, and I think it still turned out well and has a lot of planty elements to it. I wish there was some more nice green tiles as this would make it look a little bit better. I then just added a few more hanging baskets and also these vines, so it was like there was plants even growing in the walls, which I really liked because I feel like plants would be attracted to the plant sim, and I just thought it would make it seem a little bit more real and that the sim wouldn't want to cut these down because of her plant nature. I then worked on the outside of the house as the house just wasn't planty enough for my liking, and at this point I just went around and finalised some of the finishing touches by adding some more bushes and flowers to the outside. I feel like you can really smell just how floral this house is. I also added some dirt around the bushes and around the house just for realism, and also added some patches where I would like to plant some seeds when we're in live mode, just so the sim has some work to do. And this is the final look at my Sims plant house. I really like the process this build took and it really evolved. I think it came out really well, especially when I was winging a lot of it, but I really like the story it tells and I think my plant sim likes it too. I think in total this was about 8 hours worth of footage, including the shell of the house, and it's taken a lot to get it edited down, but I think it was worth it and I really hope you enjoyed watching the journey. If you make a plant sim, I'd love to see it. I'll link all of my socials below, and if you want to download this build, my gallery name is Squidgybat. Of course, as always, if you did enjoy today's video, then please don't forget to give it a big thumbs up, and if you haven't already, please subscribe as it does really help me out. Leave a comment below on what your favourite room was, as I think mine was the living room, and I like how bright and cozy it was. I also really like the side greenhouse area too, and I love that you can see it from the second floor. As always, thank you so much for watching, take care, and I'll see you in the next one.